having confidence in myself to understand that like I can do this. Like I've done it once, I can do it again. And I finished that year a lot stronger. I ended up being TCIS Player of the Year. I definitely say just kind of like you really just have to trust in yourself. You can do as much training as you want, but if you don't believe in yourself, you're not confident in yourself, you're not gonna make it far.
No limit to where I could take it. And you know me as a crisp bottle sender, check pick upper. I thought we looked out for one another. Saw this brother.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How about you?
Good, good.
That's good. Well, I'm really glad I'm able to talk to you today and that you're able to join the podcast.
Yes, I'm excited.
So we're gonna start from the top. So what are your earliest memories with basketball and what really like started it all with you?
Yeah, I definitely say I started playing like at a really young age. So I think maybe I was like 9, 8 or 9 probably. I do have an older brother, so I kind of grew up like watching him play basketball, him and my dad. And I was super into soccer and other sports, but I always wanted to be like my brother, so I kind of looked up to him, and I didn't really take basketball seriously, surprisingly enough. And then I got into like a small like recreational league, ended up being really good. And then kind of started taking it seriously more towards COVID when everything kind of shut down. I kind of got with a personal trainer and like was just working every day, like early in the morning, late at night, was just in the gym grinding. And I just fell in love with it from there.
Okay, that's good. That's good. I'm the same way through COVID time. I hear a lot of people say like COVID as an excuse, like it was like, oh, I stopped working, COVID
Yeah,
happened and stuff like
right.
that. But I'm the same way. It was opposite. Like you have so much free time.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
So what made you want to start taking it seriously?
Yeah. I think I just kind of always had a mindset like when I start something, like I always had to finish it. Like I think my parents kind of instilled that in me, but I also think when I'm focused on one thing, I kind of just like completely like everything else is just like out the window and I'm just like focused and determined on it. So, I mean, I think playing, I just got a different feeling, like a different feel of joy playing and like, seeing my work pay off, which kind of I think helped me take it to the next level and take it more seriously.
Okay, okay, that's good. So, when did you really realize your potential? Like, what was something that kind of happened that made you realize, like, oh, I'm really good at this. I really can take this to the next level.
Yeah. I probably say when I got my first like Power Five offer, seventh grade, that's when I kind of started playing AU. So obviously I played up because I always wanted to be better. So I was like, like even if I'm not the best, like seeing other people that are better than me and like playing in that environment will help me get to where I need to be. So my first offer was Richmond. I went on a visit. So I'm like from Richmond, the Richmond area, so it was like 15 minutes from my house. So that was my first offer. And then after my first lab period, I got another offer from Ohio State, and that's when I kind of realized like, oh, like I do have potential. Like I just need to keep going.
Okay. So you're saying you started playing AAU at around seventh grade?
Yeah. Yep.
So tell me a little bit about your experience, because even for me, I'm coming from out of the country. This is my first year at prep school, and I'm getting ready to really do my first live periods and travel, and it being my last year being able to do that. So tell me a little bit about your experience and what kind of things can you tell me going in?
I definitely think it's a different environment. Obviously, a lot of people know like high school and AU is like very different. It's very competitive a lot of times with teams. It's a lot of one-on-one and kind of just like showcasing yourself because like that's kind of where you get most of your looks from as far as like college coaches and whatnot. But for me, the team that I joined, I felt like it was truly a family, and I think that we really played good team basketball, which kind of led to us winning the 3SB championship for 16U a few years ago. So I definitely say for you, I mean, just play your game, like play your best basketball, but also be a good teammate. Because I think that's what a lot of coaches look forward to is like that you're a good teammate, that you have good body language, and that you're just a good person overall. Because like at the end of the day, coaches know that you can score and that you can do the little things outside of like being you.
Okay, okay, that's some good advice. I'm definitely gonna take that for myself. So, talking about training, I know everybody's different, but what is your training schedule like and how do you train? How do you think it separates you from your competition?
Right. So obviously now I'm not like training because I did tear my ACL, so I'm like out. But
Hmm.
previously, or well, before I tore my ACL, I did a lot of training. I kind of trained with a lot of different people, but I'd say I think a lot of girls struggle with like knowing if they're doing too much or if they're doing too little. And like for me, I'd say kind of just like see what feels good for you. I know the summer, I think 2 summers ago was when I kind of started doing like 3 times a week, or no, three times a day training. I would do 3 times a day, which kind of like made me feel like really tired for games, and like I ended up having like an overuse issue in my knee. And like there's a lot of knee injuries going on now, so I just say be careful with stuff like that. But I think 2 workouts a day is like pretty good. Just like shooting, obviously ball handling, but I definitely say conditioning, and like getting in shape is definitely something that you need because that'll definitely separate you from other girls is like seeing when coaches see that you can play the entire game, and like still be efficient.
Okay, okay, that's good. And for you, how are you able to avoid burnout while doing this?
Yeah. That's a good question. I think I've always just kind of like had a love for the game, so I don't think I've ever been burnt out. Obviously, I've been like physically tired, but I've never like mentally been like, oh, like I don't know if I could do this anymore type thing. I just think that God's kind of instilled that like this talent in me, and like I've just seen how I can change other people's lives or help other people like make other people feel just by me playing basketball. So yeah, I mean that just inspires me, and I'm just blessed to be able to continue to play. So yeah.
That's good. So I know playing at this high level and being able to be around the different groups of people and stuff like that. I saw that you were able to attend the Team USA tryout. So what was your experience during that time?
Yeah. That was definitely a really good experience for me. That was kind of something that I've always been like looking forward to, especially like since I kind of started taking basketball seriously. But I think it was a very good experience. It was a very high level environment, all like the top kids in your class. The tryouts were definitely very like elite. And I think that's like something that kind of helped me understand like where I am and like where I need to be. So yeah, it was awesome. It was in Colorado too, so like the altitude is different, so you kind of have to be a lot more in shape for that as well. So kind of just helped me see where I need to be and how good I am so far.
Okay, yeah, that does seem like a good experience. You're being able to meet everybody who's kind of at that high level and you have
Right.
like-minded people and like-minded circles. So I think that's really good.
Yeah.
Okay, so next, talk to me about this past summer, your overtime select experience, because that's like a new league. It was the first time. And again, you're being able to be around all these high level players, Kalina Smith and all these other people. So how was that for you?
Right, yeah. Definitely being invited to that was like super awesome because obviously like you kind of see the boys side of that, and I've always wanted to like maybe start like think about starting a girls side and like talk to them about starting it, and like seeing that they actually started and I was able to get invited was just like super awesome experience for me. Also, playing with like high level players like Kalina Smith, like SANAI Hall, a lot of my teammates that I've known, but never really got a chance to play with was really cool. I think that it definitely helps like girls kind of build more of a community and like more of a family together when you're like kind of just like spending more time together and like like practicing playing against each other, but like you're still friends. So it was definitely an awesome experience. I think they have another event this summer too. So I hope that they continue that. It's really cool.
Yeah, that seems like a really good experience. So talk to me a little bit about, you recently tore your ACL. So how have injuries shaped you both as a person and a player?
Yeah. Yeah, so I did end up tearing my ACL at that overtime tournament experience, whatever you want to call it thing. So this year's definitely been very hard for me, kind of just like getting back on my feet and seeing myself as more than just an athlete, because I feel like a lot of people preach that, but like having to actually live it every day is a lot different. So for me, I think I've just learned more about myself and spending more time by myself, like away from basketball. And then obviously like being on the sideline of watching my team play every day, watching them practice and like learning more things at an elite level, but from the sideline has definitely helped. And I think it will help my game grow and like help me see things that I never seen before and just develop me as a player. So yeah, I think I'm like 5.5 months out now. So I should be cleared by September or so. So right now I'm like able to work out, get shots up and things like that. But I definitely think that like this injury has helped me, even though it like was really like horrible, obviously. But I think it did help me a lot. And I think I honestly needed to take a rest and like look at what basketball looks like from the outside looking in.
Mhm. Yeah, that's good. And I know the ACL injury is like a really common injury in basketball. So are you able to kind of see other players and their experience and does it kind of help you mentally know that you can get through this stuff?
Yeah, definitely like Paige Becker's like I mean like seeing how far she's come to ACL surgeries now. That definitely kind of like inspires me to like keep pushing because like there's definitely days that I'm just like, man, like this really sucks. Like I'm just really down in the dumps about like not being able to play basketball or like me missing my whole junior year. It definitely sucks, but I think that everything happens for a reason and this isn't my plan, it's God's plan for me. So just continuing to be positive and like be grateful for what I do have and what I can do now.
Hmm. And I feel like in sports and even life in general, like you said, everything happens for a reason. So
Right.
whenever something bad happens, like as time goes on, you kind of just see like, oh, that happened because of this, so I can,
Hmm.
progress and stuff like that. So
Yep.
that's really good. And like, yeah, you see that in sports all the time. And so it kind of gives you a sense of self that you can get through this and this really happened for a reason. It's
Right.
a setback.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. So I know you mentioned that you lived in the dorms at school and stuff like that. So how has that experience been for you?
Yeah, I think at first, obviously, a lot of people don't know about like the timeline between my ACL and like coming here. So I tore my ACL and then the following week I moved here to New York and then like had a like my parents left and like went back home. So basically was kind of just starting new school on my own and like getting used to that and not playing basketball was really hard for me at first because I was like I didn't really have any family. Like obviously I knew some girls here and like eventually like now I can definitely say that my teammates are a family for me and like it's a sisterhood between us. But before obviously I was still getting to know them. So it was a little bit harder for me to like kind of express how I felt and what I was going through. So it was really hard for me at first, but I think now I think I'm a more independent like child anyway, so it wasn't really hard for me to adapt to that. And like obviously now we're out of season, I get to go home a little bit more often. But I mean, the dorm life is nice. I don't have a roommate, so it's just me in here, which is nice. I get to have my own space.
Yeah, that's nice. I'm the same way. I'm here living in the dorms without my parents and everything. So I see that in common. It's a lot more like independence that you have. And
Yeah,
it
I agree.
Yeah, it gives you a sense. But I think I was talking to other people, even like overseas players, because it's kind of the same thing. They're moving away from their family, they're living alone and stuff like that. So I feel like being able to get that opportunity to live this way in high school can kind of help you in the future.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's definitely preparing me for college and like kind of helping me make that decision of like whether or not I want to go far or I want to stay home, stuff like that.
Hmm. Okay, okay. So tell me what kind of adversity, obviously you had your ACL, but there's so much other stuff that comes with sports. Has there been any kind of adversity that you face, whether it's mentally, whether it's performance? Have you experienced that and how have you been able to overcome it?
Yeah. I'd have to say so last year was my sophomore year and like freshman year, I was at Stewart School in Virginia before I transferred here. Um, so my freshman year I had like a really good year. Like I was training a lot. I was very confident because like I feel like when you're a freshman and like kind of where I was at, I was just like very confident. I was like, you know what, like I can do this. Like this year, I'm gonna like make my mark at this school. That was like my first kind of real year playing, I guess, because like I was kind of more of like a team leader. I also played in eighth grade because at private school you're allowed to start in eighth grade. So my freshman year, I was just like really trying to kind of fill like the role of the seniors that had left and like was just like trying to really be on top. So I had really good stats that year, and then the following year, my sophomore year, I kind of was just like feeling a lot of pressure from everybody else because I was like, you know, everyone was like, well, now like your freshman year, you averaged 20, like now I need you to average 30, like 10 rebounds, like just a lot of expectations for me. So it put a lot of pressure on me, and I ended up just like having a lot of bad games. We started the season off pretty rough. And yeah, for me, I kind of just realized that like the outside noise doesn't matter. Like these people that are outside, like kind of like telling me things and like, having high expectations for me aren't in the gym with me every day. Like they don't see me every day. They're not seeing like what I put into this. So I kind of just like go back to that just to remind myself like how far I've come and like how God has allowed me to come this far and kind of just like, you know, having confidence in myself to understand that like I can do this. Like I've done it once, I can do it again. And I finished that year a lot stronger. I ended up being TCIS Player of the Year. So yeah, I definitely say just kind of like you really just have to trust in yourself. You can do as much training as you want, but if you don't believe in yourself, you're not confident in yourself, you're not gonna make it far.
That's good. I hear that a lot. So do you think the mental part of the game plays a lot in your performance and just your longevity in general?
Yeah, I think mentally basketball, I think basketball is a mental game more than it is physical. You can obviously, like I said before, you can train as much as you want, but if you're not confident, you're not going to do any of the things that you worked on in training, like absolutely none of it. And I can say that for myself because I've experienced that for a really long time at one point. So for me, I definitely think it's a lot more mental than it is physical. And I think a lot of times even kind of what I do to remind myself of like if I mess up in a game, like you're gonna let like zero point 0.5 seconds of a mistake mess up the entire 32 minutes of a game. Like
Mhm.
it's things like that that can go a long way.
Yeah, I definitely see what you're saying, even through experience for myself. So it's good to hear that from somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
So going back to the training aspect, just a specific question for me that I had on my mind. So how were you able to train on the days that you had practice? Because for me, I may have practice, a 2 hour practice later, but I'm not sure how hard I should train before. Because, practice in itself is like technically a performance because your coaches are trying to see how you practice, like to dictate how much time you're gonna get, how you're gonna play and stuff like that. So how are you able to train on those practice days?
Yeah. I usually would practice after or train after practice. So I have like 2 hour practices, like you said, and then I usually go with my trainer and like train like harder than practice. I definitely wouldn't train before just because I didn't want to have like dead legs or anything. But I feel like training is more like individual and like you kind of focus on more than you do in practice. Like it's more like shooting, like specific ball handling, dribbling moves and stuff like that. Um, so I definitely recommend like training after practice. I also sometimes when I did play last year, I would train sometimes after my games too. Like if I wanted to work on stuff, like I would just get in the gym really quick after my games and like go with one of my trainers, kind of just like get like 100 few shots up and like work on dribbling, get in shape, stuff like that. So I definitely recommend after rather than before. But if you did want to go before, I'd say just like light shots and stuff like that.
Okay, okay, that's good. I'm gonna implement that. So we're gonna end the interview off with a few quick questions. So the first one, I know you're injured now, but for training and even just pre-game, what kind of music are you listening to now?
Oh, that's a good question. It really depends. Okay, so if I'm nervous and like I'm just like really like anxious about playing, I like to play more like calm like R&B music just to like get myself like relaxed and ready to go. But like if I'm like super anxious, actually sometimes I don't listen to music. Sometimes I listen to calm music. Sometimes I listen to like super like hype music,
Mhm.
like rap and stuff like that. If I'm like not super if I'm not feeling the energy. But yeah, it really just depends on my mood. Yeah, sometimes I meditate, really just depends.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I see that a lot of different players, like even that I've talked to in the past week, like everybody's different, but they have like different times. Sometimes they're gonna listen to calm music, sometimes they won't, like you said, listen to music at all. So it definitely just depends on the mood, where you're playing, what kind of
Yeah.
game it is. Yep. So next question is, what has been your favorite environment to play in? So I know you've been able to play, over time, different states, different cities, different crowds and stuff like that. So what has been your favorite environment?
Yeah. Um, that's a good question. I think off the top of my head, I'd probably say overtime because I feel like on TV it seems like like a super big arena, but it's really not that big. And like I think one of the games that we had, one of our first games, it was like pretty packed in there, and like you could just hear everybody going crazy. But like at the same time, you can also like see everybody. So I mean, that was really cool to play in. Like it was awesome there.
That's good. That's good. Okay, so I know you've been able to achieve a lot of success, being ranked nationally and stuff like that, and being able to, again, play in these different environments. So even with your injury and stuff, so throughout your whole career, so far, what is one lesson that you've been able to learn?
Yeah. Um, I think the biggest lesson that I've learned is to not take it for granted. Like, I kind of, my coaches always preached, and my AU coach, my high school coaches always preached, like, not to take us for granted because you never know, like, when it's your last. And I feel like I always kind of took that to heart. And I think if you see me play, like, I always play hard. Like, I always play like it's my last game because I never know. And I think, like, now with my injury, like, I'm glad to say that I feel like every game that I've played, I feel like I've played 100%. Like, I've played to the best of my ability. So I think this injury and even before the injury just shows you that like even seeing players now that are injured and that are out, like don't take this for granted because you never know when it's your last or when you're going to be out for a long time. And like if you truly love the sport, you will play hard.
Nice, nice. I definitely see that in your game, watching your highlights and stuff. So it seems like you are obviously going 100% every single time, and that's a good quality to have.
Thank you.
Okay, so final question. It's similar to this one, but a little bit more specific. So what advice would you give someone who aspires to be in the position that you're in today?
Yeah. I definitely just say believe in yourself and like just put your head down and work. Like, like working hard is that's the only way you're gonna get to where you want to go is by putting your head down and grinding it out. No matter how hard a workout may be or if you don't want to do it, like do it on the days that you don't want to do it. Because like that's the difference between like good and great is like you doing it on the days that you don't feel like doing it or just like working hard when like your friends are out like having fun, things like that. Like it takes sacrifices, it takes a lot to be where you are and be where you want to be, which is like great, I'm assuming. So yeah, I definitely just say like put your head down and work and don't give up on yourself.
All right. Well, I appreciate that advice and I appreciate you being able to join me today.
Yes, of course. Thanks for having me.
Of course, keep me posted. I'm gonna be on the Instagram, and again, I wish you a quick recovery and success in your next endeavors.
Thank you.
All right, see you.
Bye.
Bye.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's right.